So it was only last week that Indie Minders did a special on the current state of AI in the music industry. A few days later, Paul McCartney came out and announced that the Beatles would be releasing one last song. We understand this to be Now and Then, which was part of a package of tracks recorded by John Lennon in 1978 that was attempted to be resurrected in 1996 as part of the anthology project. That got abandoned, but it was something that McCartney had always been wanting to get back to, and with the benefit of AI technology, it seems he's been able to do that. Today, we're going to be going through what we're expecting to hear from this new track, and we also ask the question whether this is actually the last Beatles record in the vault and whether there is actually one more that we might find being released in the future. Hello to you, Al. Welcome to the show. I bet you're as excited as I was about this particular announcement.
Oh, very much so. And even just within the last 24 hours, there's been a video released by someone that has had a go themselves at creating this version of Now and Then. And look, it's pretty good. So my question to you, mate, is what more are you expecting? What do you think Mr. McCartney and co are going to do to this song to kind of bring it to life?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So the actual demo track has been out there in bootleg for many years, so people have been able to do stuff, especially recently with the benefit of this technology that has come about. I think the first thing that I'm keen to understand is whether this will be AI assisted or there'll be something significant from an AI point of view. Now, with the Let It Be project, they utilised AI to clean up a lot of the tracks. So this is why you're able to hear people talk. So previously you weren't able to get that from the original tape. So AI was able to get that out. But I get the feeling that there will be a little bit more AI trickery on this particular track, just because it was a sort of an incomplete demo by John Lennon, so we didn't get to hear it all. So potentially you'll hear, I guess, an AI trained model of John Lennon's voice, but I think you'd expect to see some of that original track somewhere, and that's what I'm at least hoping for. The second thing I'm expecting to see is that Paul McCartney's voice being de-aged. Now, last week on our episode, we got to hear an example of that with the track New off his 2013 album. We could definitely see the difference between Paul McCartney as a 70-year-old and Paul McCartney, the AI model, as a 25-year-old. I'd be hoping that they would do something similar with this particular song in relation to McCartney's voice if he's got a backing vocal role, for instance. The next thing I'm hoping for is a cameo from all of the members in some way. So George Harrison's role will be very interesting in this particular regard. He was the one who vetoed this track in the first place when they attempted to resurrect the track. I'm hoping he might have recorded something back in 1996 when they attempted to get things going again. But one way or the other, it would be good to basically have everyone's live involvement as well as an AI overlay, if that makes sense. The fourth thing, the very last thing, is I'm actually expecting how to this be better than Free as a Bird and Real Love. Those two tracks that we heard from the 90s. And the reason for that, I think, is technology is a lot better. What they had with Free as a Bird, they were able to do amazing things with it at the time, but I remember people saying that they had to work back to the original track. So that made it very difficult to keep time with things, that they were restricted with the tempo of that particular song. They've got a little bit more to play with. And as we saw in the Let It Be project, Al, the boys love to play around with a song before they actually landed on something. So I think that they're going to have that potential benefit, or Paul McCartney will, in arriving at the song that it should be, and whether that is the same as what people are coming out with on the YouTubes will be very, very interesting. What did you think of all of that?
Oh, absolutely, mate. And it's going to be interesting once it is released whether Paul McCartney gets a bit of a taste for it, because let's be honest, if it goes ahead and makes a bucket ton of money, why would you not be going through the archives to see if there's anything else that can be dusted off and brought to life? And hey, we're fans of good music, so why would you not do that? There's a lot of kind of questions out there at the moment that people are saying, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Well, as we said last week on the show, it's going to happen, and whether you want to embrace it or not, I think people are going to have to in some way.
Probably the next and final, and you've sort of touched on it, but this is obviously the one that didn't get released as part of the anthology project, but there has been murmurs over the years of one final track that has not been released on any of the albums released by the Beatles to date, and that is a song called Carnival of Light. So that was recorded in 1967. Look, for those who are expecting to hear a Beatles hit from it, from what we can gather, it's certainly not in that spectrum. So it's very similar to Revolution 9, if those are familiar with that track off the White Album. But this particular song is very, very unique in that it has not got out on any bootlegs that have been released to date. So no one has really heard from it except for those in a very close quarters. So Paul McCartney has that track apparently in his possession still, but he has spoken as recently as 2016 and said that he is wanting to release that song eventually. I think it was considered for the Sgt. Pepper's re-release that they released a few years back. It didn't quite sort of fit that particular release, but that would be very interesting, and I think it would be interesting from the perspective that, look, I don't think it'll be of commercial quality. I think people will maybe hear it once or twice and maybe scratch their heads from it, but it's, of all of the songs and all the rumours of songs, that song is the one that effectively no one has heard for 60 years.
Yeah, and look, my kind of take on this is there's probably a reason why it hasn't been heard for that amount of time, but who knows if it can be brought to life, and I don't know, maybe given the chance, maybe today's audience might enjoy it, but I've got a feeling it won't really go down that road. It might be one for the fans, and it'll probably turn up on people's weekly release radar songs to listen to, but could quickly disappear into the background, mate. I know you'll be flogging it, you're a massive Beatles fan, but I can't see it doing a huge amount.
No, I sort of tend to agree. It would be one for the fans only. So that's our discussion on the what to expect with Now and Then. We'll be coming up with another episode as soon as the Now and Then song has actually been released. There'll be quite a bit of discussion on that particular song. Very excited to listen to, but until then, we'll see you in the next episode. That wraps up another episode of Indie Miners. Please look to subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, and let us know if there's an album you would like us to look at. So until next time, bye for now, and thank you for watching.